Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
We are ready to start a great week of adventures and learning as we welcome you all on the first breakaway session this afternoon at regional training on the literacy instruction of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division Region 11 from the 27th of July to 31st of July 2020. This is actually a 5-day webinar to our key officials of the Department of Education, our teachers, and our school heads. This is Sulong Idokalidad 1 Davao Region. To proceed further, we'll sing our nationalistic song.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all English teacher participants of the first breakaway session of our regional online training on literacy instruction English group. My name is Marjorie Vinillo from the Curriculum and Learning Management Division of DepEd Regional Office 11, one of your hosts, and I would like to welcome you all, our 2,000 viewers and more in this afternoon session.
Thank you so much, Miss Marjorie. Yes, we all be sharing an active and engaging event-filled week of learning and excellence to education for all of us. As the Department of Education strengthens the advancement on the reading proficiency, make it known to all on the advancement on bawat
on the focus on the development and localizing the accessible, relevant, and equitable importance of basic education in the Philippines.
Together, we create
will build exceptional educational partnerships
the
the
regional
regional
training
training on literacy instruction today, July 27, 2020.
This
This
is
is
Maria
Maria
Abadilla
Abadilla
of
of
Pacific
Pacific
National
National
High
High
School
School
from
from
the
the
Division
Division
of
of
Baguio
Baguio
City.
City. Hi, Mom Ava. Good afternoon to you, and it is such a great honor to share the same platform with you this afternoon. This training is a substantial contribution to the new normal, for it helps in delineating aspects of literacy, which is a solid foundation of our learners in accomplishing diverse and complex tasks to reach their full potential, in taking the journey of learning and in understanding the world and the society that we live in.
Respected Department of Education Region 11 Regional Director, Dr. Evelyn R. Pitalbero, CESO 4, to our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines C. Asuncion, CESO 5, to our Chief Janet G. Veloso of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, Region 11, and of course,
Our
our
very own
very
education program supervisor, Region 11, Dr. Daniel P. Papiero. So our teachers, school heads, and the key officials of the Department of Education, good afternoon. Thank you for that, Ms. Ava. Before we proceed, on behalf of DepEd Region 11, I would also like to thank and congratulate our counterparts from the division offices, our education program supervisors handling English, our PSDS and school heads who will act as our trainer facilitators in this regional online training. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much to Dr. Tito Endrina, Dr. Alan T. Gilaran, Dr. Raymond Aquino, Dr. Darwin Suyat, Dr. Emmeline Raquel, Dr. Maria Angelita Perpetua Suelto, Dr. Nancy Sumagaysay, Dr. Jesusa Ambrona, Dr. Maria Gina Silvestre, Dr. Hilda Opeña, Dr. Leonila Berdin, Dr. Narmila Espedido, and Mr. Bernardino Magno Jr. Thank you so much, for without your contribution, this online training will not be possible.
Yes, of
Yes,
course,
of
Ma'am
course.
Mark, do not forget the Padlet that will have to be flashed on the screen for the comments and suggestions because there is an avenue for our teachers and school heads and other guests in attendance to have their comments online and of course the attendance. Let's not forget that to signify on the attendance that will be flashed on the screen. And of course, the
Evaluation
evaluation
is
is
very
very
important
important
for.
for today's event.
Yes, Mom Ava, that's right. So, to all our viewers, please signify your attendance through our attendance link. We would like to request our controller to please, okay? So, you can see our attendance link posted below on your screen. So, please do copy it, take it down, or if you're using your mobile phones, please screenshot your screen so that you can signify your attendance. And our attendance link is open for 2 hours. And time check, it's already 1:20 p.m. So our attendance is open until 3:20 this afternoon. And later after our session, so we will have two sessions, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Ava. We will have two sessions, and after our two sessions, we will entertain questions from our viewers this afternoon. So we would like to encourage our viewers, wherever you are, you can raise your concerns, you can raise your questions regarding the topic that will be tackled later through our Padlet link. Okay, so please copy our Padlet link. It's posted below on your screen. There you can send in your questions, and that will be answered by our speakers and facilitators after our two sessions. Of course, we would like to remind everybody, those who have answered already the evaluation earlier this morning, since it was posted during our plenary session by Mr. June Arguilon, we would like to remind everybody to please reevaluate the event. Maybe after the second session, you can or you may answer the evaluation again. Okay, so your first answer will be disregarded since the evaluation covers the whole activity today. So please copy it again and answer it again right after the second session this afternoon. Okay, Miss Ava, maybe we can proceed now to the next part of our program.
Thank you so much, Miss Marjorie. And of course, as the moment has become practically engaging and interesting to all our participants in the entire Region 11, as we are all geared up and aware of the numerous efforts, as it is with a matter of great pleasure to have from the central office guests. This afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, teachers and school heads, Dr. Denmark P. Alayon, Senior Education Program Specialist, Bureau of Learning Delivery, on his message.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, let me say thank you to DepEd Region 11, headed by OIC Regional Director, Dr. Evelyn R. Petalvero, Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Marie Ines C. Asuncion, and the CLMD Chief, Dr. Janet G. Veloso. Of course, thank you to the Regional English Supervisor, Mr. Manuel P. Vallejo, and to his School of Regional English Trainers for inviting me to join you today and for conducting this regional training. And of course, thank you to our dear participants for accepting the invitation to improve your teaching practices for our learners' literacy development, of course, through this training. I would like to commend all of you for your unwavering commitment and passion for service as you attend this training in support of Tulong Edukalidad and Hamon Bawat Bata Bumabasa, geared for quality education. In support of Tulong Edukalidad and Hamon Bawat Bata Bumabasa, the Teaching and Learning Division of the Bureau of Learning Delivery spearheaded in 2019 the National Training on Literacy Instruction as a response to the need for strengthened advocacy for literacy. This focuses on retooling language teachers' literacy instructional skills. And now, the regions are tasked to deliver this training to their teachers and instructional leaders. This is actually supposed to be conducted face-to-face, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the national training team recommended to conduct it online. Hence, the training resources were further revised and converted to fit the context of online delivery modalities. I think it is not a secret that time and again, the Department of Education has been beset with seemingly insurmountable challenge of raising the bar of excellence measured through the yardstick of national achievement test results. The crucial steps in striving to attain peak performance of learners have unfortunately consistently stumbled on a pervasively prerequisite skill which is reading. The stagnating NAT results reveal that both elementary and high school learners are deficient in literacy skills, both in languages and content areas, more so in reading. Because of this, the department has courageously called for a nationwide literacy effort which would enable the use of the Big Six of reading. According to CONZA in 2014, these are oral language, phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. So our dear participants, these are what you are going to learn from this training. These elements, considered as the Big Six of reading, indicate that reading is an incredibly complex process that students must learn successfully. In the same manner, teachers need to understand the delicate ways in which these skills and strategies work together to meet individual students at their point of need. Hence, the call has come in a form of an initiative that is deemed to effectively strengthen reading proficiency of every learner by starting with the foundational skills, which provide compelling evidences in bridging literacy gaps. All this would be attained if our teachers are equipped with necessary content knowledge and pedagogical skills. Certainly, this training aims to capacitate you teachers to become effective reading teachers. I hope that you would agree that it is about time to make every teacher informed about the importance of teaching reading particularly those content area teachers, as reading is an instrument to develop cognitive skills and thought processes. This is according to Fielding in 1990. Indeed, reading is a very important skill as it serves as an instructional tool for learners in every field of knowledge. As cited by Strang in 1964, the ability to read is essential for learning in every field of knowledge, not just in language arts, but in all subject areas. And children who read poorly are handicapped in almost all school subjects. This lack of reading ability causes them to fall farther behind each year, and frustration and maladjustment go hand in hand with their repeated failures. Hence, a good reading foundation and the continued development of reading skills among learners are by all means necessary for their success. Therefore, working hand in hand to attain this goal should be a shared responsibility among DepEd offices, schools, and communities. My fellow educators, the challenge for us now is how to make reading literacy an essential skill for learning. Literature and studies would say that reading has to be explicitly taught, modeled, and practiced in order to be most effective. It is in this premise that this training will provide you sessions employing implicit instruction procedure, demonstration of literacy strategies, and close reading of relevant and grade level appropriate literary and informational texts. To everyone, most especially to our teachers who are attending this training, please apply the knowledge and skills that you will gain from this training and encourage yourselves and your fellow teachers to teach learners the reading skills and strategies to learn all about the world around them, not just in English and Filipino, but in every subject, in all content areas, because it will definitely yield their success in schools and in life. After all, literacy development is not just the sole responsibility of language arts teachers, but also content area teachers. As educators, are you up to the call for strengthening advocacy for literacy? Then help in building a strong reading foundation for all learners to make a difference. Together, let us raise the bar for literacy. Let's do it for our learners one step at a time. Once again, thank you and good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you so much to Dr. Dean Mark Alayon, all the way from the Central Office, Senior Education Program Specialist, Bureau of Learning Delivery. Thank you so much, Doc Den, for your unwavering commitment in response to COVID-19 pandemic. We're still there, and of course, willing to give your pedagogical strategies to our teachers in the station. How about that? And of course, at this time, for the vote of thanks, as we are delighted of your presence, we may call in our Education Program Supervisor, Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo, Region 11, of course, our Chief of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, Chief Janet G. Veloso. Hello there. Chief Janet G. Veloso and Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Denmark. Thank you, Sir Denmark. Wow. Our supervising education program specialist from Central Office.
Here po, ma'am.
We are very happy of your presence.
Yes.
Salamat po for the invitation.
Sir Denmark, thank you so much.
Thank you
We
so
would
much.
like to thank also the PLD, ma'am, our counterpart in the central office. Number one for the crafting, no, finalization of the milks. Ayan, so malapit nang lalabas yung ATM natin. Oo. And number two, Ma'am Janet, kasi we're waiting for that SPJ din natin, no? Kasamahan din nila doon sa PLD for that operations manual. Sir Denmark, thank you so much. That was brilliant message.
Nandyan ba? Ready ba yung ano natin na Manuel? Ang ating VIP award?
Yung
Dapat. Oh, para kay Sir Denmark Alayon. Kasi siya po ay, well, the presence of Sir Denmark is really a blessing to us. Because for all you know, Sir Denmark, it's really our way of, hospitality that we have a very special award because we cannot give you, shall we say, it's the actual token or probably our just to manifest and also show our hospitality. But this time, virtually, we can give you our what we call Aguila VIP award. Yes, that's
Um,
our Aguila.
Sir,
Yes,
congratulations.
certified.
Kabilang
Yeah.
ka na. Kapatiran na siya, ma'am, for that Agila. Tatak
Yes.
Agila. Davao Region
Yeah.
lang
Yeah.
yun, sir.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So thank you, Sir Denmark,
Thank you
and
so
we
much,
hope
sir.
to have you in the coming activities of the region, as you are our specialist working well in the Bureau of Learning Delivery. Yes.
So once again, Sir Denmark, on and in behalf of the English teachers, and of course all teachers no, of Davao Region, we would like to thank you one more time. Thank you so much for your precious time for us.
salamat din po.
Sir, dagang salamat po.
Dagang salamat.
Okay.
God bless.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much to Dr. Denmark Alayon. And of course, at this time, we have as the first session speaker this afternoon, and she has played an integral part in providing professional learning to our teachers on her enthusiasm and focus on education, on her learning of greater excellence, on her presentation today, building communicative competence through oral language instruction from the Division of Davao Oriental, Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay, Division Education Program Supervisor, on her first breakaway session presented. Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay, please take it away.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan LCP. I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Good afternoon, Region 11 teachers, resilient and game changers. We congratulate you for surviving this new standard of attending trainings, webinars, and you have sustained a lot, and for that, we congratulate you a lot. I am your facilitator for this afternoon, and I am opportuned to share to you some ideas that are for some new perspectives, for others, relearning. But whatever it is, may this session somehow help us solve a big problem we encounter in terms of reading, both in the regional and divisional perspective. Now, whatever is that you wanted, what is this new framework, we might just miss why we are encountering a big problem in reading. I would say that, and I would ask you, what do you like to learn? What do you like to discover as a new perspective? And what do you want to see as a framework we might just miss as we teach reading in our respective classrooms? I have been supervising for almost 3 years now in the field of reading and in English. And I would like to share to you that I noticed that a lot of us teachers are rushing our students to read. So immediately we jump into letting them learn the sounds, the phonics aspect, of which we forget there might just be a missing piece we have in that type of teaching. So if you noticed, I also have observed this, no? If our pupils, if our learners are so exposed even in cartoons, even in Disney movies, I noticed that all of them are good readers. And the session I'll be sharing to you might just explain to us why is this so. And this would explicitly teach us or let us realize that there must just be a missing piece in the teaching we have as far as reading. So, ladies and gentlemen, to start with, I am sharing to you the topic on the building of communicative competence through oral language instruction. Let me share to you the screen. So welcome to session 2 of this 5-day training, the building of communicative competence through oral language instruction. Or I would even say it still would make sense if I say it's oral language instruction through building of communicative competence. In our training in Dipolog City, this was delivered to us by Dr. Victoria Dagalia Mangasur, Education Program Supervisor. So the objective for this training, or for this session, would be, number 1, we need to define what oral language is. Number 2, we need to discuss how oral language affects the development of literacy skills. And number 3, demonstrate understanding of instructional strategies which explicitly develop oral language skills through literacy-related tasks. Number 4, demonstrate desirable classroom teaching practices that reflect gained understanding of sound methodologies in developing the oral language skills. So specifically in this particular session, we will define what oral language is, how does this affect the teaching of reading, in short, and what specific strategies or methodologies or even approaches are specific to the teaching of oracy or oral language. So before we start, let's just try to test ourselves. How far are we as far as knowledge on oral language skills is? So let's answer true or false pre-tests, okay? So just record your answers in your papers, whether the statement is true or false. Okay, so number 1, is it true or false? Oral language is the ability to speak and listen. True or false? Number 2, oral language problems have little impact on the reading and writing difficulties of learners. True or false? Number 3, oral language is at the base of literacy. True or false? Number 4, all children are fortunate to be born into homes where parents or caregivers provide rich language experiences. These children enter schools with good oral language skills. True or false? 5, children who have strong oral language skills often have strong reading and writing skills. Is it a true or false? All right. Let's try to check whether your answers are correct. So for number 1, true. Number 2, oral language problems have little impact on the reading and writing difficulties of learners is false. Number 3, oral language is at the base of literacy. True. Number 4, all children are fortunate to be born into homes where parents or caregivers provide rich language experiences. This is false. And 5, true. Okay, how many of you got the perfect score? If you got it, well, you might just be among those teachers teachers who are already very much oriented with the new paradigm, or I think I'll not really say it's a new paradigm, the paradigm of oracy as a needed ingredient or a needed aspect in reading. So for those who did not get the perfect score, then do not worry, because we will be able, or this session will provide us with a particular or with particular ideas or knowledge that would help us improve our teaching skills as far as literacy is concerned. If you get 5 perfect score, that's good. If you got 0, well, I do not say it's bad, but I would say you listen intently to the lectures. So let's talk about it on the topic of building communicative skills through oral language instructions by watching a particular video. But before you watch, I'm going to show you a previewing questions for you to answer. So the instruction would be each division will have one answer for a particular sets of question. So you will be recording your answer and a particular, what do you call this? There's a particular, the ICT will show you where to record your answers. So number 1 question would be, what is oral language? Number 2, how is it related to the overall development of reading skills? Number 3, what is language to literacy model all about? 4, what is word poverty and how does it affect the development of reading skills? 5, what are the 5 components of oral language instruction? 6, how can teachers provide for an effective development of each of these components? And last, in what context does explicit instruction situate in the teaching of oracy or oral language development? So, you look at the link where you are going to answer the questions. I would only require 1 set of answers for each division. And you write that in that particular link, the ICT will send or will flash to the screen. So, let's go to the viewing of the video.
Let's try to have a working definition, one common definition of what oral language is. It's a very common word, however, siguro we have to have one common point of reference. So let's talk about what oral language is. So let's talk about what is oral language, okay? Oral language is a system through which spoken words are used to express knowledge, ideas, and feelings. So, pag sinabi nating oral language, developing oral language means actually developing the skills and knowledge that go into 2 big skills, listening and speaking, all of which have a strong relationship to reading comprehension and to writing. So pag sinabi pala nating oral language, it is not confined. Some would only say, oral language, it involves speaking. But hand in hand with speaking, nandyan yung listening. Okay? The development of thinking and reading ability is closely linked to the development of oral language. So, looking at this, we have here, okay, according to Motes, these are the 5 components of oral language. Yesterday, Dr. Villanesa actually presented the 5 components with the addition of a 6th component, which is oral language. From this framework presented by Motes in 2010, you will notice that oral language is made up of at least 5 key components. All of these components are necessary to communicate and learn through conversation and spoken interaction. But there are important distinctions among them that have implications for literacy instruction. If you have noticed, these components were earlier presented by Dr. Brillanesa as the 6 components of reading. Sixth, being considered as the new is oral language. However, a closer look will tell us that in each of the component, most 2010 posits that oral language is in the center of all these skills. All of these arrows, all of these skills will actually involve oral language skill development. Okay. Snow and Wise and their companions, okay, posit that oral language provides the foundation for learning to read and is related to overall reading achievement throughout the primary and secondary schooling. Okay? So, the 6 component of reading to reflect the range of research emphasizing the importance of oral language development to the reading process. This is affirmed in the research conducted by Scarborough in 2001, who said the children who have strong oral language skills often have strong reading and writing skills. In contrast, children with oral language problems are at higher risk of reading and writing difficulties. So that's why we say if a child will have difficulty in their oral language, all the other skills, especially reading and writing, will definitely be expected to be something that would be difficult for the learners. This is again, okay, emphasized by Cregan in Archer, Cregan and McGaugh, Shield in 2012, that oral language is the child's first, most important, and most frequently used structured medium of communication. It is the primary means through which each individual or child will be enabled to structure, to evaluate, to describe, and to control his experience. Okay. Proficiency in oral language provides children with a vital tool for thought. Without fluent and structured oral language, children will find it very difficult to think. So you see, this is especially true when we deal with with kindergarten children. No, before they would have to be able to read and write, okay, they should already also have developed the confidence to use and express their thoughts, feelings in the oral language. Okay? That's why we say oral language is at the base of literacy. This is one reason why also in grades 1, okay, why is it that we start English, we don't immediately dive into teaching the students the macro skills of reading and writing in English. We start with oral language. We first develop their listening and oral skill to enable them to build confidence to and open, okay, their hearts and minds to learning the English language before we introduce reading and writing to them. Now, looking at this, okay, who needs oral language development? Is it only the kindergarten? Is it only the higher grades? Is oral language still a domain, still a skill that we develop in the secondary years, in senior high? Okay. Definitely, yes. Okay. All students need oral language development. It's not just English language learners that need to practice oral language development. Today's society does not encourage oral language development. Various situations in our environment brought about by the changes in the 21st century, okay? So tells us that there is a lot of need for our students, for the teachers to concentrate and focus on oral language development in the English and in the languages classroom. Now, These are some of the other reasons that we have, okay, why we need to concentrate on oral language development, especially in dealing with children at the kindergarten to grade 3 level. Okay. Earlier, one group showed us some of the factors affecting oral language. Children arrive in kindergarten with huge discrepancies in oral language development, and the gap between language advanced and language delayed children grows throughout the elementary school years. Not all children are fortunate to be born into homes where parents or caregivers provide rich language experiences. These disadvantaged children enter our kindergartens lacking oral language skills. Although we don't discount the possibility that many of the children, especially in the urban areas, have a good exposure to language, especially in English, for us in the Mindanao area, for the Filipino language, okay, plus the mother tongue. But when you look back into the development of the specific skills of oral language, you will find out that there are a lot of children whose oral language skill is very deficient when they get into the classroom. Now, is it possible for teachers to design instructions that will close the language experience gap? With all of the trainings that we have been receiving, the ELL and DAP for the past years, we have been so much focused on the development of beginning e-reading instruction that somehow everybody and everyone will really be convinced that indeed teachers are now well equipped with the skills, the strategies, the techniques, the approaches, methodologies, everything that would help us improve the oral language of our students. We were provided with trainings with CLT, explicit teaching, and yet yesterday Dr. Rose pointed out what's happening with all of the reading programs. There's a lot of reading programs out. Schools, each school meron pang school, meron pang district, meron pang division, meron pang national, meron pang personal, di ba, sa classroom natin. We also develop our own program, remediation program, nasa schedule, and yet we still find that there are still things that has to be done. Perhaps we might have overlooked. We are looking at it at a very big picture that somehow some minute details are escape scrutiny, are being neglected. And sometimes sabi natin, kahit nga sa 90, hindi mabubuo ang 100 pesos kung wala kang piso. Pag 99 yan, hindi pa rin 100 yan. So in this particular session, I would like, let us all try to look back at some of the salient points that somehow may also affect this. In a report of the NCCA 2012, okay, this is one of the observations that was pointed out regarding the preparedness of teachers in handling reading the oral language development of pupils. Sabi nila, there is evidence that some teachers may have struggled to implement this component because the underlying framework was unclear to them. They might know all of this. The strategies, the theories, the principles might be clear. But somehow, the interconnectedness of all this in the development of one major skill that the school targets might be lost. 'Di ba pag bumubuo tayo ng isang toy, I remember Bimbo, who would love to play Tamiya. 'Di ba pag yung Tamiya, pag binubuo mo yung mga DIY toys, pag nawawala ang isang maliit na tornilyo, it will somehow affect the entire performance of that toy. Hindi siya tatakbo ng mabilis kasi nakulangan ng isang tornilyo or nakulangan ng isang napakaliit na part na minsan hindi mo na napapansin na kailangan pala talaga ito. Okay? So this is one thing that we would like to bring about in this particular session. Now, here, allow me to introduce to you the 5 components for effective oral language instruction. These are the components of effective oral language instruction, and each component is targeted through explicit instruction. Two major theories, two major approaches and strategies come into play when we try to look at this. Explicit instruction and the principles of CLT, communicative language teaching. All of these come into play when we consider how we bring this, how the strategies into the classroom, and we put it together into these 5 components of effective oral language instruction. This is adapted from Eisenhardt of 1919. There are certain conditions that we need to consider when we develop oral language and using the repertoire of strategies and techniques brought to us by trainings. Okay? We go to specific details that somehow might affect the overall delivery and development of the oral language in the classroom. We start with the first one, okay, the yellow one. Component number 1 talks about the development of listening and speaking skills. Okay? How well children develop conversational skill can influence how well they interact with others. So number 1 would be, how do we teach listening and speaking skills using the strategies that we have learned? According to Carey, 1982, the vast majority, approximately 80% of teacher talk in classroom is focused on tasks. Okay? Giving instruction, providing information, correcting behavior, or giving out information, teaching the concepts, okay, to students. Of this, 80% of it consists of low-level questions that ask children to recall information rather than open-ended questions, requiring children to think at higher levels. What is happening here? One of the misconceptions that this finding also informed us that there's a misconception about what teachers believe to be teaching. Diba? Pagsasabihin, you have to teach. So what does teaching involve? Many teachers would equate it to discussing, telling, and informing the children how to do it. So what happens? That the classroom is dominated by teacher talk. So yung mga bata would only respond based on the questions that are given out to students. So yes, no, or repeat after me. That's the common. That's why, sabi nga kahapon ni Ma'am Rose, what happens is that it is the oral language of the teacher who is being refined, polished, strengthened during classroom instruction, which should be dapat the other way around. Many of our teachers, because research would tell us, majority of the teachers would teach the way they have learned. Many of us were born of the previous kind of traditional approach wherein we listen to the teacher. We follow after the teacher. That's why we need to at least exert more effort to teach the teachers to what? Allow and provide the children to talk, asking them questions rather than a higher order and open-ended questions that would require children to think at higher levels. So let's see, what are these things that has to be taught? Alam natin ang strategies. Yes, alam natin paano gagawin. So therefore, with this, hand in hand, what else do we have to teach when we try to develop oral language? Elements that need to be explicitly taught before embarking on formal instruction of oral language is number 1, awareness of broad rules that govern social interaction. Create awareness of the way conversation works by considering the rules to be observed by good speakers and good listeners. What does this mean? Number one, do we teach turn taking? Okay. Isa yan. Although children would have to listen to us, but do we explicitly teach them how it works? When do you stop? When do you pause? When are you supposed to interrupt? This might not really come in the handbook about what you should be doing when you are using the strategies and activities that you present. But somehow, this is something that you should always see to it that children are exposed to. Turn taking. Repair of their speech. If they talk and they commit mistakes, how do you repair? Sabi kanina may bullying because sometimes the culture would tell us to laugh at the mistakes. But teachers should see to it that even before you start introducing this, these are things that we have to teach. Politeness, rules for listening, non-verbal behaviors. Remember, it's not only speech, it's not only the words that come out from our mouth. The facial expression is also a way of communication. The body language is also part of this. Rules for listening. What do you do? How do you show that you are listening? Okay. When you talk, what are the things that you have to remember? These are some things that has also to be explicitly taught as you provide your students with activities that would help them communicate their thoughts and ideas. Okay. Number one would be, how do you go about teaching this? Especially in the lower grades, teachers should always bear in mind there is a need for you to talk with your children. Not only during lessons, not only during classes, but the classroom itself should be an environment that would welcome talk, and talk. Gone are the days na negative masyado yung talkative. Diba sabi nga, palagi na lang, ayaw natin ng children. Pag sinabing that this child is very talkative, anong dating? Negative. But, somehow, this is the most important thing that the school should actually be developing. That being talkative is not a negative thing, but a positive thing because this will showcase, this demonstrates that the child is actually learning the language that you are targeting. Teachers should talk or converse with their children whenever possible. Children often love to talk about their friends, families, or favorite activities. Try to develop talking points. Talking points are conversation starters that you can use with your children. Okay? So, for example, in activities, in our CLT activities, one of the best things that would somehow be very productive would be to have talking points for children. Okay? Like, if you are going to, let's say, if you're going to field trip, if you're going to the canteen, okay, those are talking points that would somehow help the children come up with be able to collect their thoughts and ideas and talk about this freely. Okay. What, for example, if you win a trip for two to Disneyland, o nanalo ka ng isa sa amin kasi sa KCC every month, there are times you win 500 pesos for a ticket. Oh, if you win a ticket worth 500 pesos shopping ticket, what will you do with that? So these are some of general talking points that you can have children, okay, start talking to you. And one of the rule is that we welcome mistakes. Sinasabi nga natin sa CLT, errors are welcomed. You don't correct errors, especially if children are expressing their thoughts and ideas, because somehow It will, it will cut and stop them from sharing, stop them from talking. Okay, another way that we develop listening and speaking skills is that, especially in the early grades, teachers should get close and listen to students. When speaking with children, it is important to get close. The child should be able to see your lips and facial expression, hear your voice clearly, and make eye contact with you. Making sure that you get close helps ensure that the children keeps an interest in what you are saying. So that means to say, this is one way that we remember in explicit teaching. Whenever we provide students the opportunities, the avenues, our activities will require students to talk, see to it that you are modeling the very skill that you are seeking to develop in your students. So one of that is getting close and listen. Sometimes teachers would have would commit na blunder na habang nagre-recite nakatingin dun sa nakatingin. Sige, you recite. Now that is one way that children remember how you respond and how you react to the speaking and listening activities that that you provide with your children will definitely have an impact on the future, participation of the students in similar activities. The attentive body language, expanding children's responses, asking clarifying questions, and using reflective listening techniques are ways to support children's continued participation in current and future dialogues. Help children listen to one another because when adults listen, children will notice and they soon too will follow. Okay? Responding and expanding is one way wherein we develop oral language. So we see teachers are the very influential factor in the development of oral language of the students. And this is evident in what these slides tell us. When a children says something to you, respond whenever possible. After you respond, try to expand the conversation. Add more context to the language even when a child's response is a simple one. For example, if the child says, I like apples, you might say, I like apples too. What kind of apples do you like? So sometimes we base it from what the responses of children is to our question. Okay. The component 2. Okay. So after speaking and listening, so we know that together we develop these skills using a variety of strategies. All of the strategies that somehow we are using in CLT, in ELLN, okay, are things that would help us develop oral language. Now, in component 2, for an effective classroom instruction, we say here that we should teach a variety of spoken text. The primary purpose of language is to communicate needs, wants, ideas, information, and feelings. Many theories claim that the different purposes for which we use language fall under various categories. So, what are the need? What is it that we need to teach explicitly to our learners? Okay, it is important when addressing the different types of language to give consideration to one, the range of different social contexts of language. So what are some of the activities that you can have? These are some of the activities. We have conversation stations in the classroom. Component number 3 talks about creating a language learning environment. Okay. Not only are the activities should be well crafted to be able to develop the oral language of the students, but the environment in itself, the classroom environment. It is important that the classroom environment is supportive and nurturing, where a variety of communication styles are valued, accepted, and accommodated. Teachers can design differentiated teaching and learning activities that draw on pupils' interest, knowledge, and skills. So how do we do this? We have three things consider in creating this. Number one would be the physical environment. Remember in ELLN, there's much weight that we give in the development of a classroom culture, a classroom environment, okay, that is supportive of the language learning. By enriching the physical environment of the classroom, multiple opportunities for engaging oral interaction and development will exist. So, the displays that you put in the classrooms, the posters and the pictures, the toys, things, anything that you put in the classroom. Creative areas, library, okay, for children's books. We can also have listening corners and conversation stations. Now, defining how a room will be structured, okay, such as this, sa kindergarten meron tayo. Okay? But so for higher grades like grades 1 and grades 2, teachers can actually, come up with areas and stations wherein children will be very conscious about what is it they do in that particular area. Defining these areas and using them as how they are supposed to be used would be would make a difference in the behavior and response of the children towards the use of this. The development of oral language skill is not limited to the formal instruction, but actually it goes even outside the formal instruction. That's why sabi natin earlier, teachers should talk, and talk. You talk with, not talk to the children. That's why you only throw bits and pieces of questions and let them do the talking. That's something that we try to at least consider when developing oral language of our students. Provide prompts that promote oral language. Involve pupils in developing classroom displays that showcase their case. Illustrate new concept or support their learning of new skill. Encourage pupils to explain or describe deep displays to visitors. A language learning environment, all of the things that is inside the classroom should somehow be something that the children would be able to talk about. Okay, classroom culture is another aspect that we have to consider. By enriching the physical environment of the classroom, we create multiple opportunities for engaging oral interaction and development. Okay, create a classroom culture of have a goal, be sensitive to cultural differences, emphasize enjoyment for all. Encourage all attempts by the children at both speaking and listening. Show and ask is one example wherein speaking and listening skills are being developed in the students. Okay. Teach pupils to share classroom responsibilities, maintain an emphasis on enjoyment, provide opportunities for the children to reflect and review their speaking and or listening, and explicitly teach students to take turns in groups. Communicate high expectations and motivate pupils to speak with all members of the class. Again, we would like to emphasize that these things, okay, you cannot develop oral language just by simply instructing, okay? Just by simply telling the children what to do. You have to, number one, model it, practice it with the students, and then observing them do it. That is what we are trying to have here, okay? And the last one for this language learning environment is providing opportunities for communication. Communication happens all the time in the classroom. By taking advantage of certain communication opportunities, students can be exposed to multiple oral language contexts and uses. So the component number 4 is teach and extend vocabulary and conceptual knowledge. Vocabulary is the term used to describe the collection of words in a given language used and understood in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. As children develop, they need to be able to draw on different sets of vocabulary And as such, teachers need to be mindful of these different sets when selecting words for instruction. Okay. So how do we teach this? How do we do this in the classroom? Okay. First, we teach individual words. Direct word meaning teaching is an effective way to facilitate children's vocabulary development. And the last one is promoting auditory memory. Auditory memory involves the ability to assimilate information presented orally, to process that information, store it, and recall what has been heard. Essentially, it involves the task of attending, listening, processing, storing, and recalling. Hindi pala, kailangan pala natin ng auditory. How do we teach auditory memory skills? In developing oral language of our student, this is one of the factors that we have to consider. Okay? That's why we develop, how to develop auditory memory skills. We start with repeat and use information. Reciting poems, songs, tales, and rhymes. Okay? Memorize and sequence songs, retelling stories and fairy tales and myths, retell stories using puppets or by illustrating a map. Okay? These are some of the activities that we can have. What are we trying to do here? To try to see to it that the listening skills of our students are what? Are being developed as well as their auditory memory skills. Sometimes children just sit down and look at us as if they are listening. But somehow, pag tanungin mo, sasabihin sa'yo, ano nga yun, ma'am? Yun pala, nasa cloud nine na lumilipad ang isip. So, by practicing these things, okay, by practicing all of these things, this would somehow help the children improve their memory. That's why they would have to focus carefully on what is it that they are listening to. All of the activities should be purposive and relevant to the skills that we are trying to develop. Okay. In order for the children to improve oral language development, what are we saying here? 3 things that they should remember to do. Number 1 is, number 2, number 3, okay, nothing happens by chance. If we want something to happen, then there should be something that has to be done. If we want to develop the oral learning skills of our students, we have to provide the avenue and the opportunities. Children, especially in English, the opportunities and the avenues will only be available in the classroom with the teacher. Knowing all of these strategies, knowing all of the memorizing and mastering the strategies that ELLN, we have now the e-digital of the version of the ELLN, which gives us very, very explicit ways on how to go about, okay, developing the reading skills of our students. If we don't use them properly, we don't do something about practicing it with the children, then definitely we will still always be back to square one. As the Chinese proverb often says, di ba? Ito palagi nating binabalik-balik. I hear and I forget. I listen and I remember. I do and I understand. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may not remember. Involve me and I'll understand.
And so we're back. How did you find your viewing? Have you recorded your notes? So I wanted you to bring out your notes and let's compare our answers. All right, so for question number 1, what is oral language? So what are your answers? So from that video, this was the answer. It's a system of spoken words that are used to express knowledge, ideas, and feelings. But I would like to give you another view of what oral language is. It refers to expressive skills, such as the ability to comprehend vocabulary, along with expressive abilities in putting words together to form grammatically appropriate phrases and sentences, and combining words together in meaningful ways. In short, with oracy, our pupils are expected to learn a wide range of English vocabulary, of which this vocabulary are in turn used into phrases and sentences, and they should be able to express this. They're going to use this before a student or a pupil should be taught how to read. So it's not possible that we're going to teach children to read without this skill cemented, that they are able to have fixed and learned several vocabulary, and that they're able to express this in phrases and sentences. They're able to use these words, phrases, and sentences to express before we teach reading, and that is oracy. So, for number 2 question, how is it related to the development of reading skills? What are your answers? So, the video tells us that it should provide the foundation for learning to read and is related to overall reading achievement throughout the primary and secondary schooling. Now, are we one of those teachers? Are we one of those principals? Are we one of those supervisors who would be in a hurry so much to let the students read without this oracy cemented among our pupils? I am afraid that would be too dangerous. We are teaching pupils to read without understanding, because it should be at the base of the reading process itself, that they should be adept, they should be very good at oral language before other perspectives come in. So, other perspective, of which you may not hear it in the video, the children speaking and listening lead the way for their writing skills. In short, it is a foundation. In short, it is a prerogative. It is a prerequisite. And that is a must. Another is, children who have strong oral language skills often have strong reading and writing skills. This is an answer to earlier on, I told all of you that I just noticed anyway, these are children of my classmates, of my friends, and all my other colleagues, in which they just let their children listen to Disney movies, and amazingly, surprisingly, they come up to be very good oral speakers, and they come up to be very good oral readers. Why? Because they have practiced so much their auditory and their speaking skills, the hearing and the speaking, the listening and the speaking. So, if I would like to show you the foundations, this is in the pyramid. Now, this is actually the big 6 of reading. So, look at where the base is. It is oral language. Take note for emphasis. The base for the foundation for the reading and all the other macro skills should be oral language, or you call it oracy as per depth and order. Now, number 3 question. What is language literacy model? Okay, bring out your notes. What have you jot down in that particular question? Try to read. But just to process the answer for number 3. Now, if this is the diagram of the big 6 components of reading, this is something to do with what is language literacy model. Now, let me just transfer the big 6 of reading into a ladder, no longer a pyramid this time. No? So you have there the big 6 of reading. The first is oral language, second, phonological awareness, phonics, decoding, and reading comprehension. When you say, or when we say, and when we believe that oral language is the basis, or is the foundation, or is the prerequisite to all other windows of the macro skills, just like reading, listening, reading, writing, speaking, and grammar. That's actually the language to literacy model. And this should be taken as a prerequisite. Each stage should be a prerequisite. When you say prerequisite, we could not proceed with the next big 6 or with the next ladder unless these are in place. In short, we could not proceed to phonological awareness if the oral language is not in place. If phonological awareness is already in place, then we can proceed with phonics. If we are cementing already the phonics, then we can proceed with decoding and spelling. If the decoding and spelling is cemented, then we can proceed with reading comprehension. So these are what we call language to literacy model. And likewise, when you say language to literacy model, we say that permeating or what will process everything in this model should be their oral skills. You also call that. So it's foundation because you can only achieve all those ladders, all those big 6, if the pupils are adept enough at their oracy or oral language skills. Okay, so that is language to literacy model. Are you getting it right likewise in your notes? All right, let's go to number 4. What is word poverty and how does it affect the development of reading skills? What are your answers in your notes? Try to compare. So this is actually the answer to that. Children arrive in kindergarten with huge discrepancies in oral language development, and the gap between language advanced and language delayed children grows throughout the elementary school years. Ito, not all children are fortunate enough to be born into homes where parents or caregivers provide rich language experiences. These disadvantaged children enter our kindergartens and even grades 1 to higher years with lacking oral language skills. Now, this is sad truth, and this is what is supposed, or what are supposed to be our teachers should be doing inside the classrooms. We should be able to bridge the gap on those homes, on those pupils where homes have not provided them with rich language experiences. No? So, that's number 4. We go to number 5 question. What are the 5 components of oral language instruction? So what are your answers? Try to look at your notes. Do we have the same answers? So number 1, develop listening and speaking skills. Number 2, teach a variety of spoken text. Number 3, create a language learning environment. Number 4, teach and extend vocabulary and conceptual knowledge. And number 5, promote auditory memory. Did you get it correct? Very good. Yay! You got it correct. So number 6 question, how can a teacher provide for an effective development of each of the components? So what are your answers? Well, it's sad I could not see your answers, no? I hope that COVID ends soon because I could have provided this training face-to-face where you can see me how beautiful I am, joke. In other words. So let's take this one by one. How can a teacher provide an effective development of each of these components? So what are your answers? Let's compare. For developing listening and speaking skills, well, I know you might just be familiar at all of this, what are you doing inside their classrooms, but believe me, I have come to supervise a class of which I was so frustrated where these things are not happening inside the classrooms. No, we have, or some of the teachers have emphasized so much on mother tongue and they neglect English, the teaching of English inside their classrooms. So we should not do that, no? While mother tongue is in place, we should see to it that English instruction is taking place inside our classrooms. So when you say developing, listening, and speaking, okay, you have 2 activities, or 4 rather here. You have the listen and say activities. You have not heard this in the video, right? That's why I am emphasizing. And then the listen and do activities. Using of pictures, and then the using of your big storybooks. For the listen and say, I would recommend that a grade 1 or kindergarten teacher should be those best teachers who can be very good models, because the teacher should be able to model the sentence patterns and let them repeat after them. So the same with question patterns. The teacher needs to model them, rhymes and songs, no? And then for the listen and do, you call this total physical response, no? So hearing and responding to words. So when I say run to the door, and then they also run to the door, you actually call that total physical response. Or you just can say clap when you hear the word dog, or simply listening to a story. Or you can use games, either listening or speaking, to develop listening and speaking. You can use pictures. Now, this is a particular example of using pictures to develop speaking and reading. It's called Picture Word Inductive Model, or the PWIM. Okay, so for example, you will be showing this picture. So you're going to let the students make a particular story out of this. So it's almost like language experience approach. So you try to let them develop the who, the plot, no? So the character, plot of the story. So you'll be asking questions. Who do you think is the character in the story? So they'll be answering. Where do you think is the particular story happening? All right. So what particular activities lead or led? Why is this particular pupil stretching his slingshot? So until they are able to be the particular story, then let them read the particular story, a moral story. Let them end the particular ending or a moral story. Let them read that in front of the classroom. So that's picture word inductive model. Now you would probably ask me, ma'am, they could not do that because they do not know how to. They do not have the vocabulary. So in short, we failed to build. Take note of the definition. Our pupils should be able to use English vocabulary. So prior to this activity, it is understood that the pupil should have developed vocabulary. Okay? So they are able to use English vocabulary, and they should be able to use that inside your classrooms. Take note, your assignment is that be able to bridge the gap in homes of these particular pupils where a rich language is not provided. So be the bridge. Be the bridge inside your classes. English teachers, please, I beg. Okay, I beg. And another example would be text innovation. For example, you have shown them a particular rhyme, a particular, say, song, okay, from a particular poem. So what is text innovation? So for example, Jack and Jill went up the hill, okay? So you can probably change that into another sentence that changes the meaning. The meaning of the text remains, but the words are changed. So what is being changed to Jack and Jill went up the hill? So you can probably say, John and Mary climbed up the mountain. All right, that's text innovation or innovation, and that's still part of developing speaking and or listening and speaking. All right, let's go to component 2. Compare your answers to what you have taken down or what notes you have taken down in your scratch papers or notebooks, whatever is that. So the second component is teach a variety of spoken texts. All right, how do we teach a variety of spoken texts? Now, language is for communication. So with teaching a variety of spoken texts, we should be able, no, to let the students practice what the purpose of communicating is. So they need to communicate their needs, their wants, their ideas. They need to communicate information, and they likewise need to communicate feelings. So I'll give a particular example. So in this particular task card, the strategy is called people I talk to, people I listen to. So with this particular picture, ask them, when do we talk to that picture? Okay, what do we talk about with that picture? How do we speak when we talk to that picture? Now show how it is done. Okay, so that's a particular strategy. How are we going to develop this particular component, teaching a variety of spoken text? When you say variety of spoken text, what the purpose of communication is. Okay? So another, you can have your own, you can think of your own, you can engineer your own strategy. How are you going to particularly expand this particular, what we call this is a strategy, it's a methodology, no? It's teaching a variety of spoken texts. So you can have your own, you can even have a simulation or bringing them into a particular situation, say canteen, how do they converse in a canteen? How do they answer telephones, like that? So those are actually for this component, strategies for these components. All right, we go to number 3. What's your answer? Do we have the particular, the same, do we have the same answer for component 3? So creating a language environment. Okay? So when you say creating a language learning environment for oral communication. So the video gave you 3. Your environment, likewise, your classrooms, no? Your classroom. Say, for example, your chairs, all the materials in the classroom should have a provision of the translation, say a chair that from bangko to whatever is that in Filipino, and it should be chair. So your classroom should have an environment for them to develop vocabulary, which is all part of teaching oracy, for them to develop speaking and engagement skills. So you may either create a culture, no? You may either create a culture that's very clear in the video. You should speak to them in English. You should expand what their answers are, meaning the practice of speaking English should start in the classrooms, and the teacher should do that. Now, I do not, sad to say that in part of my supervisory runs, no, I'm quite disgusted of some English classes, of which I do not see this inside classrooms. So I hope that we can all see this inside classrooms. The teachers create a culture where pupils can communicate in the English language, not in the mother tongue. Mother tongue is taking care of itself. But we have an English class likewise, where we are able and we are given the chance to develop all of these things we are saying here. So creating an environment, creating a culture, and creating a practice, a communication practice for all of that. All right, so that's it for component 3. Now, what about number 4? So this is what I said. All the oral language development could never take place without the vocabulary in English. Okay? So just like, how are we going to, kayo na bahala dyan, no? How are we going to facilitate that our pupils should be very adept, very good at English vocabulary? So take note of this. The last paragraph, take note. In order for children to become proficient readers, they need to learn 5 to 6 new words per day, 38 words per week, 2,000 new words a year, and 10,000 by the age of 6. So sino ba si 6? These are our grade 1. So imagine this is the gap for those homes of our pupils which do not provide the language background, the language proficiency. So imagine that's what we're going to make up, 10,000 English words at the age of 6. So we should double our time. Kindergarten teachers, ano bang tawag doon sa prior to kindergarten? It's whatever it's that. So build the vocabulary in English. There are a lot of ways to develop vocabulary in English. But the must do is at the age of 6, there should be 10,000 English words to develop. And by grade 2, 6, add this with 6 words a day. And that's our task from kinder up to senior high school. Not one is exempted. Okay? That's how big the responsibility is. All right, let's go to number 5. Promoting auditory memory. Now, we should teach our pupils or our students that they will not only listen to us by just looking at us and then without even pala remembering and understanding what a particular material is trying to let them listen, or what even the teacher is listening, no? Looking at us, pretending to listen, but they're not actually remembering and they're not actually understanding what have they listened to. So it's a task of attending, listening, processing, storing, and recalling the material and even the teacher. So these are given in the video. No? So those are actually some of the strategies, no, or methodologies where you can or we can develop auditory memory. Okay? So I don't have to repeat that because, no, so you have there. Okay, I'm giving you 30 seconds to take a closer look at all those strategies where we can develop auditory memory skills, no? Just in case you did not or you were not able to capture all of them in your notes. Okay? And so in a particular strategy, you can actually employ this in the classroom. Today's news report, my news. No, you just ask particular groups. So what their news is for today? What happened on their way, in their homes, and they're going to share it in their classes. So the strategy is today's news report. All right, so let's go to number 6. How can teachers provide for an effective development in each of these components? So we have 5 components. How do we provide an effective development of each of these? Okay. So actually that I already have embedded them in question number 4, so that I don't have to elaborate. I only gave you around 1 to 2 examples. But I know you are all good, no? You are far better than I am. I know that. Region 11 teachers are the best teachers we have employed. Congratulations for that. No? I allowed you for that. And it's up to you to enrich all of these components, add all those I gave you. I know you have a repertoire of a lot of strategies how to develop each of these components. And I would look forward that when the supervisors get inside your classes, region-wide, now we will be seeing all of these perspectives and frameworks inside the classrooms during your English classes. Okay? So let's go to number 7. In the previewing question. In what context does explicit instruction situate in the teaching of oral language instruction? All right, let me go back to the big 6 of components, or the components, or the big 6 of reading. Where does explicit instruction situate in the teaching of oral language? In all these aspects, no? Because when you teach reading, you don't just teach, say, sounds, no? You incorporate all the other macro skills. That's why employ a strategy where you can use all the other macro skills. So when you teach reading, no, it is very holistic. It is very enriching, in which you, while you teach sounds, you can also teach speaking, you can teach writing, you can teach listening, you can teach grammar. So if you can use a strategy where you can employ all the other macro skills, then that's much more effective. I have a bias for a strategy which incorporates all the other macro skills in one setting. Okay? So, in what in component does explicit instruction? In all of these aspects of the components, we should teach this explicitly. We model, we do, and then you do. I don't have to elaborate explicit instruction is. You have already conducted a lot of trainings for explicit instruction, but when you ask about where does explicit instruction situate in the teaching of oral instruction, this permeates in all of the components, whether it be oral, phonics, phonological awareness. This encompasses using all the other macro skills, speaking in particular, listening, writing, reading, okay? So, I'm almost done. I hope I had been one convincing resource facilitator for you this afternoon. This is almost an advocacy for me, for Region 11, because I know that we have a big problem. No? Well, I do not say in your divisions this might not be a problem, where we have a lot of non-readers and we have readers who could not comprehend. I would be honest, in Davao Oriental, it's a big problem. We are starting to work at. It's just my second year as supervisor anyway. But I hope that I have shared to you this aspect of reading of which we have neglected, I think. I just think because it's not for all, but for the Division of Davao Oriental, I have observed classes where we neglect the aspect of oracy. So, look back at your instructional practices in the classroom. Are there provisions for a meaningful development of our language? Reflect. Only you can answer that. And we hope that you really would apply that. Will you implement and apply oral language development methods and strategies in your classes? Well, right now, I do not know if we have convinced you that we might just have missed this particular aspect in the teaching of reading. But if this ideas are no longer new to us, and if these are new to us, then you should find a way wherein we can apply these methods and strategies inside our classroom. We have been into this problem, into these reading problems for so long. So why don't we try? Huh? Reading and writing float on a sea of thought. Take note, that's by James Britton. Reading and writing float on a sea of talk. And that it's sad, but it's true. The limits of our language are the limits of our world. Then be the best teachers where we will not limit, but we will expand the language of our pupils entrusted to us. Take note, we're paid to make them learn. We're paid to make them useful. We're paid to make them productive. How can we make them productive? How can we make them useful if they could not even read? Or if they can read and they could not comprehend? Now, come on, teachers in Region 11. Okay? So, in closing, are the things I said to you are things or are these things for us to learn, relearn, or unlearn? Repeat for emphasis, are these things we need to learn, unlearn, or relearn? On the reading situation in Region 11, or I say even in a particular division, no, it might not just be a problem in your division. Again, as I have said, it's almost like COVID. It's challenging, it's critical, and it's alarming. Now, we just could not sit lame duck on it. Have mercy on those people entrusted into our hands. We have been paid for that, no? So let's rebuild, let's rediscover, let's reorient ourselves. Let's step in a new door. Let's do paradigmatic shifts. Good luck, Region 11. Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon, Region 11 teachers, resilient and game changers. We congratulate you.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan LCP. I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Nancy Sumagaysay, for your inputs about building communicative competence through oral language instruction. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can actually read your live comments. And with that, we thank you for your active participation during the activity of Dr. Sumagaysay. And for your answers, you may submit it to the link to be posted below. I request our controller to please post the link for the activity of Dr. Sumagaysay so that Dr. Sumagaysay can check and scan your inputs also. Okay, and we also would like to request our controller to post the link in the live comment section just in case our viewers miss it. Again, please send your answers of the activity of Dr. Sumagaysay to the link posted below, okay, so that she can read and scan your answers. And we also understand that there are technical problems and our attendance link is experiencing traffic due to the bulk of registrants. So we ask for your patience. We are so sorry. And please, we advise you to refresh the link once in a while and we will adjust the attendance time until 4 p.m. So please take note to our technical and to our controllers. We will adjust the attendance until 4 p.m. so that everybody can signify their attendance. Again, our attendance link is posted below on your screen. And again, we will let the controller post it also on the live comment section. Again, thank you so much for your active participation and for giving us your feedback. We will do our best to fix the problems that we have encountered and serve you better next time and for the rest of the days of our training. So later, Dr. Sumagaysay will join us on screen again to answer some of your questions. So we will post once again the Padlet link for your reference. So below is the Padlet link. Again, this will be posted also in the live comment section. So please be aware once it shows up and just share it to your colleagues who are also watching us right now. Moving on, our next session is about raising learners' phonological awareness as foundational skill to decoding. It's a brand new topic and there will be another activity. So our facilitator will introduce another activity to all of you. So the link for your answers will be posted later and it will be a scrolling text below. So please be aware once it shows up, it's the scrolling text that will be shown below while our facilitator is discussing. So once it shows up, please copy it and send your answers of the activity on that specific link. Okay, so I think our next speaker is ready. Our next speaker is an education program supervisor for English in the division of Tagum City. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Darwin Suya. Okay, so I think Dr. Suyat is not yet ready. So while waiting for Dr. Darwin, may I take this opportunity to thank once again our speaker facilitator for this regional online training on literacy instruction. We have our education program supervisors for English, our PSES, and school heads. Thank you so much, Dr. Tito Andrina, Dr. Alan E. Gilaran, Dr. Raymond Aquino, Dr. Darwin Suyat, Dr. Emeline Raquel, Dr. Maria Angelita Perpetua Suelto, Dr. Nancy Sumagaysay, Dr. Jesusa Ambrona, Dr. Maria Gina Silvestre, Dr. Hilda Opeña, Dr. Leonila Berdin, Dr. Narmila Espedido, and Mr. Bernardino Magno Jr. So they will be our facilitators and speakers for the rest of our training until Friday. All right, so our next speaker is ready. So ladies and gentlemen, please witness the presentation of Dr. Darwin Suya.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach, integrating technology, academic community, the household, ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao region.
Phonemic awareness facilitates growth in printed word recognition. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Darwin Falcatan Suyat of the Department of Education, Division of Tagum City. I shall facilitate Session 3, Raising Learners' Phonological Awareness as Foundational Skills to Decoding. This was presented during the National Literacy Instruction by Rosalina J. Villanesa, Chief, Teaching and Learning Division, Bureau of Learning Delivery. Recent studies on reading acquisition have shown that phonemic awareness is a powerful predictor of children's reading achievement, it being a prerequisite skill to learning to associate sounds with letters. Hence, most reading specialists have recommended phonemic awareness instruction in beginning reading classroom since 1990s. Phonological awareness, on the other hand, is critical for learning to read any alphabetic writing system. Research shows that difficulty with phoneme awareness and other phonological skills is a predictor of poor reading and spelling development. There are several well-established lines of argument for the importance of phonological skills to reading and spelling. At the end of the session, you are expected to, number 1, realize the importance of phonological and phonemic awareness in teaching beginning reading. Number 2, gain an understanding of the what, why, and how of phonemic awareness instruction. And the last, number 3, acquire familiarity with phonological and phonemic awareness tasks and gain insights into their effective application in classroom work. But before that, we shall have a priming activity. For each of the following statements, put a check under agree or disagree to show how you feel. But please, get your pen and paper. If you agree, write capital A, and if you disagree, write capital D. Let us start with number 1. One prerequisite for learning to read is being aware that words consist of individual sounds. Number 2, phonemic awareness is a strong predictor of success in beginning reading. Number 3, phonemic awareness encompasses large units of sounds or phonemes such as syllables and onsets and rhymes. Number 4, phonemic awareness instruction is most effective when children are taught to manipulate the sounds of the letters in the alphabet. And the last, number 5, phonemic awareness and phonics are similar terms. You have now your answers. Let's check whether they are correct. Again, if you agree, write capital A. If you disagree, write capital D. Let us start again with number 1. One prerequisite for learning to read is being aware that words consist of individual sounds. And for number 1, you have to agree with me. Number 2, phonemic awareness is a strong predictor of success in beginning reading. And it is correct. You have to agree. Number 3, phonemic awareness encompasses large units of sounds or phonemes such as syllables and onsets and rhymes. With this, you have to disagree. Number 4, phonemic awareness instruction is most effective when children are taught to manipulate the sounds of the letters in the alphabet. And you have to agree. Number 5, the last, phonemic awareness and phonics are similar terms. And they're not. So you have to disagree. All right. You have your scores now. Congratulations for those who got a perfect score. That means you have a good background of our topic. At this point, we're going to view the video by Dr. Villanesa. But before that, please consider the following guide questions for our discussion later. Here are the guide questions. Number 1, what is the difference between phonological awareness and phonemic awareness? Number 2, why is phonemic awareness important in early literacy? Number 3, what are the different phonological awareness tasks and when do we develop and practice it? Number 4, what are the different phonemic awareness tasks and when do we develop and practice it? And the last, number 5, how do the different phonemic awareness tasks relate to phonics instruction? We're now ready to view the video of Dr. Rosalina J. Villanesa, Chief Teaching and Learning Division, Bureau of Learning Delivery, Central Office.
The fourth session is raising learners' phonological awareness as foundational skills to decoding, which is the second to the Big Six. In the early literacy and numeracy program, we also talk about the Big Six, but our focus really is on learning how to read. Now, literacy instruction as an offshoot of the Bawat Bata Bumabasa Hamon of Undersecretary Diosdado San Antonio is a combination of early language literacy and numeracy and the primals. In this training, we focus on the Big Six and we give emphasis and modify the six component or the comprehension skills. We focus on the different least learned competencies as a result of the NAT so as to ensure that we will be able to address the reading problems from grade 1 to grade 10. Because this challenge is not only for grades 1 to 3, but as well as across grade levels. So you will notice that reading comprehension is discussed in the context of cause effect, in the context of sequencing events, using close reading, and explicit teaching instruction. Phonological awareness is the understanding that the stream of speech can be divided into smaller segments. These are words, syllables, onset and rhyme, and phonemes. But I would like also to give emphasis on phonological awareness because this is a very important subset of phonological awareness. Again, phonemic awareness is a subset of phonological awareness, the understanding that words are made up of individual sounds, which is phonemes, and the ability to manipulate these sounds, like doing matching, segmenting, blending, and changing the position of the sounds. So let us look at phonological awareness first. So there are 4 activities that can be done to develop the phonological awareness of our students. Number 1 is word awareness. This is distinguishing the number of words in a particular sentence. Example, count words in a sentence. How many words there are in the sentence, I am Rosalina? So you can have the students count their words by saying, I am Rosalina. So that in this particular sentence, there are 3 words. I is the first word, second is am, and the third is Rosalina. So that's word awareness. The next is syllable awareness. So this is counting, doing or clapping your hands according to the number of syllables found in a word. Example, the word Rosalina. How many syllables there are in the word Rosalina? Ro, sa, li, na. So there are 4 syllables in the word Rosalina. So you can give lots and lots of activities for the students to count the number of syllables in a word. The third one is alliteration. Identifying and producing words that begin with the same sound. Sentence like, Sarah sips strawberries on Sunday. So, Sarah has the same sound as sips, has the same sound as strawberries, has the same sound as Sunday in their beginning sounds. Okay, so again, Sarah sips strawberries on a Sunday has the same beginning sound, which all begins with the S sound. Okay, so that's alliteration. The fourth one is rhyming. Students first will be able to identify the rhyme in a poem, in a sentence, okay, like the henny penny. So henny, penny are 2 rhyming words. Can we have lots and lots of rhymes that the students can practice orally so that they'll be able to distinguish the rhyme in that particular sentence, and that is phonological awareness. So let us look at phonemic awareness. As I've said, phonemic awareness is being aware that words are made up of individual sounds. Okay? Example, the word cat. So, it composed of 3 individual sounds. The first is k, the second is a, and the third is t. So that's phonemic awareness. So there are 6 phonemic awareness tasks. Number 1 is isolating sounds. The ones I did earlier, like k, a, t, I isolate the 3 sounds in the word cat, so that is phoneme isolation. The second is segmenting sounds. So you segment the sounds, the individual sounds in each of the word, like p, a, okay? What's that? Hand, p, a, and that's pan, okay? Then the third one is phoneme addition or adding phonemes. So you say, what will happen to the word tap, which is composed of t, a, tap, if we add a sound at the beginning? So it becomes stop, stop, okay? Or what will happen to the word hat if we add the E sound at the last? So, at, hat. If we add the E sound at the last, it will become hate. Okay? So that's phoneme addition. The fourth one is phoneme blending. So you got to blend the sounds to be able to produce words like p, and, pan, at, rat. You're blending the sounds together or the phonemes together to be able to read words. Then the fifth one is phoneme deletion, or you delete the sounds. Okay? So you'll say, what will happen to the word shall if you delete the sound at the beginning? So definitely shall will become whole. Okay? Then what will happen to the word small if you delete the sound at the beginning? So small will become mall because you remove the sound. So that's phoneme deletion. And the last one is phoneme substitution. You substitute the sound. Okay? So what will happen to the word k, at, cat if you substitute or you change k to r? So it's r, at. So cat becomes rat because you substitute or you change k to r. So that's phoneme substitution. Or what will happen to the word pat if you change p to s? So at, pat will become at, sat because you substitute p with s. If you look at the slide, the highest blocks of phonological awareness is phonics. You start with listening because it's about sound. The student should be able to fine-tune their hearing ability into the different sounds. Okay, the first one is for them to identify rhymes and alliteration, followed by sentence segmentation, syllable awareness, onset and rhymes, and finally to the very small part of the sound, which is phonemic awareness, the individual sound in a certain syllable, in a certain word. Okay, so why phonemic awareness is important? Children sometimes come to school unaware that words consist of series of discrete sounds. Phonemic awareness activities help them to learn to distinguish individual sounds or phonemes within words. They need these skills in order to associate sounds with letters and manipulate sounds to blend words during reading or segment words during spelling. Thus, children need solid phonemic awareness training for phonics instruction to be effective. So, in other words, phonemic awareness is needed, is essential to doing phonics. Research has shown that explicit phonemic awareness instruction increases reading and spelling achievement among preschoolers, primary grade children, and students with learning disability. They need to master the different phonemic awareness tasks for them to be ready to do phonics when they already associate the different sounds into its symbol, or if they will be doing alphabetic principles. Okay, again, let us recall the different phonemic awareness tasks. We have phoneme isolation, phoneme identification, phoneme categorization, phoneme blending, and phoneme segmentation. In manipulation, we have three basic manipulation skills: phoneme deletion, phoneme addition, and phoneme substitution. There are 5 levels of phonemic awareness. The first level is rhythm and rhyme. So in here, they'll just listen to different rhymes. They look at the sounds, they identify the sounds that are similar, and the beginning sounds also that are similar, or what we call alliterations. Then level 2 is part of a word. So they will identify how many syllables in the word, the onsets and rhyme, then blending individual sounds to form words. Then level 3 is sequence of sounds. So what's the first sound? What's the second sound? What's the third sound? If the students are able to identify that, they are already in level 3. For level 4, it is the separation of sounds. So if they'll be able to separate the sounds in each of the words and be able to identify it, they're already in level 4. And for level 5, the ability of the students to manipulate the sounds, to change the sounds, the first sounds, into different sounds, thus produce different words. Like, for example, pat, you change with it becomes sat. So that's they're already, if they can do that, they're already in level 5. And for level 6, they are able to transition into written language. So when they already in the phonics, that is already, the students are already in the level 6, ready to decode and ready to blend the letters to be able to form word in a written text or a written word. Fellow educators, my dear teachers, phonological awareness and phonics is very important. And this is the second element of a good reading program. After tuning in to all the sounds from oral language, talking about their experiences, expressing their ideas orally, to listening to sounds, counting the sounds, counting the words, counting the syllables without the symbol yet. After phonological awareness and phonemic awareness, our students are now ready to do phonics, which will be the next session.
Welcome to CLMD in support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach integrating technology academic community the household, ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao region.
Thank you so much to our Education Program Supervisor of the Division of Davao City, Dr. Darwin F. We're just very blissful to the great contribution of Dr. Darwin F. And now, for this recapitulation on the raising learners' philological awareness of foundational skills through decoding. Dr. Darwin F. Please take it away, Doc.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ma'am Maureen Ava B. Acuña of Davao de Oro. Am I correct, Ma'am, no? Of the Division of Davao de Oro. And good afternoon to everybody. I hope you're not sleepy at this time. I would like to thank you for watching the video presented by Dr. Rosalina J. Villaneza. And that's very important to all teachers, language teachers, most specifically with those who are teaching grade 4 to grade 12, because you are not very keen on it and you do not take too much attention to it. So it's very important to all of you. Yes, Ma'am, Maureen.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. It's really very helpful for us. Reading is really very important, as our teachers will always learn for that. And of course, this will be, of course, bringing to the attention to our learners, because we are always in the advocacy, bawat bata bumabasa.
Precisely correct, ma'am. That is why we would like to intensify that after the oral language, which is the basic in the domains in language. It should be easily or readily enforced immediately by phonological and phonemic awareness. And I would like to emphasize that this phonemic and phonological awareness are actually being attended to by kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, and also grade 3 teachers in the elementary. That is why it is not so much in the higher grade level.
Wow, that's great. It's really very notable and remarkable of you from the Division of Tagum City, Dr. Darwin F. Suyat. Of course, this is really a great contribution. And would you like to have some or more of your messages, Doc, to convey the entire 11 divisions of Region 11 to hearing from you of your beautiful thoughts and inspiration to our teachers and school heads out there?
Thank you very much, Ma'am Maureen Ava. I remember Ma'am Maureen being the host of the Mutya ng Mabini, Ma'am, no? Under Mayor Rinaldo de Anghirang, very effective and efficient host. Thank you again, Ma'am Maureen. I would like to shout out to the teachers of the 11 divisions in Region 11, especially to Tagum City Division teachers. And I would like to take this opportunity to somehow commend the teachers from Tagum City Division, because all of them are very active, no? Especially with the new norm. And in fact, in the preparation of this regional webinar on literacy instruction, and that took my time, I was not able to somehow commend the master teachers that were able to do a return demo during the division rollout in the learning management system. And I would like to commend and appreciate the work of Ma'am Maria Loresal Malalis, my co-teacher at Laureta National High School, and also Dr. Anisita Lumamba of Tagum City National Comprehensive High School. I would like also to express my gratitude to a teacher who is very good to me and who did help me a lot. She was my production assistant, my director, my script writer, to Ma Mary Ann Ramirez of Magupo Pilot Central Elementary School, who is very busy with their 3 o'clock reading habit, Ma Maureen. Huh? That's actually part of the 8-week intervention plan for non-readers and frustration readers. That's actually a regional initiated program, and Magupo Pilot Central Elementary School, with the leadership of Dr. Joy Didrelos, is very active with that, together with other elementary and secondary schools in Tagum. I would like also to say hi to all the early language literacy and numeracy coordinators in the division, also the English coordinators, the school reading coordinators, and all teachers. In fact, some are not language teachers, but they are with us this afternoon. I hope they were able to learn somehow from the video presented by Dr. Rosalina Villanesa, because part of the reading program is going back to the establishment or reinforcement of the phonological and phonemic awareness. Since there are non-readers in the secondary or in 4 to 12, and in fact, there are non-readers and slow readers in 11 and 12. So there is no need for them, for the teachers, to really give the non-readers or slow readers a book. What they need to do is to go to the K to 3 teachers, kindergarten, 1, 2, and 3, and let them somehow be educated, or they learn from them on how to do the phonological and phonemic awareness. Because we have to go back to the basics if they are non-readers, because non-readers can, if they cannot recognize words, they cannot decode at the same time, of course, there will be no comprehension. And may I take note that all K to 3 teachers, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, are all adept, no? And they are well versed with the use of the phonological and phonemic awareness. So they're actually they are seasoned with this, and they were already they're doing this for somehow when they started teaching kindergarten to grade 3. And in fact, the implementation of the early language literacy and numeracy is very efficient at the same on manners that we need to somehow dedicate this portion, or let us say establish this oral language phonological and phonemic awareness to early learners in the school.
Thank
Yes,
you so
ma'am.
much, Dr. Darwin F. Suyat. Wow, you really have the power of polishing up on phonology. That speech is
Yes,
really the
ma'am.
voice of the heart.
Yes,
And of
yes,
course,
ma'am.
yes, Doc, you really have a very good discussion. And apart from this, you are multifaceted and multi-skilled. And of course, we have also from the division of Davao Oriental, Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay joining us to have this question and answer, where, of course, an avenue for us to have an innovating solutions to what is really bringing out on this evaluation of comments and suggestions. Good afternoon,
Good
Dr. Nancy
afternoon
P.
to
Sumagaysay.
Hello, good afternoon,
Dr. Nancy
everyone. It's really
Sumagaysay.
nice to be joining all of you via live stream. Finally, you have seen me go live, though I hate it. I could not see all of you. And I hate it because my outcome of the video, I'm from Davao Oriental. I'm from the hinterlands. We have weak signal. And it's an 11-hour recording. We were not able to see that. So sorry. Well, just content on and just be contented with what I shared to you. Never mind the video, ladies and gentlemen. But in any way, I think I have shared to you very nice perspectives and new frameworks with the topic you can use and apply. So I love all of you regional teachers for hanging on despite my blurry presentation. Anyway, I am here today live. I'm no longer blurry. So, hi, I love you all. I think you are all asking me questions, but if you love me, well, of course, you don't have to ask me questions. Joke.
Yes.
Anyway, what's the question all about?
Okay, yes, Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay. So we have the question from here. Okay, so this is all the way coming from, let me check in our Padlet. Okay, so because we have 11 divisions in the region 11. Okay, so let me check from the division of Panabo City. Actually, anonymous. This is the question, Dr. Sumagaysay. How could oral language be developed to those learners choosing modular learning modality, especially to grades 1, 2, and 3? How could oral language be developed to those learners choosing modular learning modalities, especially to grades 1, 2, and 3?
Okay. Thank you, Panabo City, for that very intellectual question. And anyway, for that participant who raised that question, I would like to say that given modules, we really have limited learnings. We have to accept it. First, we abridged even the lengthy competencies needed. So with those modules, we really can say that there are really limitations. For your questions, in as much as this is oracy and how can they develop, how can they learn the oracy language or the oral language instructions given these are in modules? that would be dependent on how these modules are crafted. Actually, even if they are still modules, you can still practice. Although the limitation would be the teacher could not be able to model the correct, say, the correct sentence, how to correct the correct pronunciation and all, what's the vocabulary in English and all. But there can be a way, no? So if in a way you still can, what do you call this, draft or correct or what do you call this, edit your module, I will show you through my shared, what do you call this, shared screen, no? What I did with a modular instruction in Davao Oriental, so that even if it is a module, we still can, in a way, let them learn oracy. Okay? So I will share to you a screen. I will share to you how we do it in Davao Oriental in such a manner that even if it is still in a modular form, no, this is on reading. This is not actually in the English language. But even if it's in the still language, you can have this format. Okay? So I'm sharing to you a screen how we did it in Davao Oriental, so that we still can show we still can teach RCIME, no? Even with modules. Can you see that?
Yes, Doc.
Tama ba? Can you see that? The shared
Yes, Doc.
screen? Okay. Now take note, this is a module, a reading module, of which you can also transfer the strategy using or even in your English modules as far as oracy is concerned. No? This is in particularly in kindergarten or even in grade 1. Now, for oracy via module, no, the needs to be developed here, which is in still part, are the vocabulary and basic interpersonal communication skills. No? So even if it's a module, it should provide them the opportunity to develop vocabulary and to express basic interpersonal communication skills. Now, what do you mean by basic interpersonal communication skills? No? The greetings, good morning, how are you, and all. This should likewise be developed even in a module. The conversations, how is it to take turns in conversations? All these can still be written in a module. Okay, so the strategy is, if the online is available, you just can play to them the rhyme, you just can play to them a Disney movie. But if it's not, well, a fable may do, and then you elaborate. No, I asked Davao Oriental that from that rhyme or from that song or from that fable, I wanted them to list some basic interpersonal communications in the mother tongue. What are these equivalent in Filipino, and what is the equivalent in English? Because take note, in oracy, they need to express, no? They need to express this in English, not just listen. Listen at the same time, really express it in English. So for example, from the rhyme, merong how are you in English. Or if the rhyme is in mother tongue, kumusta ka? So that module should be able to let them should be able to let them provide how is that spoken in mother tongue, or how is it spoken in Filipino, so that we hit for Davao Oriental, we hit the basic interpersonal communication skills as well as the vocabulary from because this is what I think about it, no? We lack the comprehension that eggplant pala is talong in Bisaya. That's how deficient our students are in Davao Oriental. So you have here the materials and the procedure. I have here. And then I have here the timetable. And I require them the listing of vocabulary, even if this is a module, from the story listened to from their mothers, or from that story you have written in the module. So list all the vocabularies in that particular reading material and translate that in Filipino up to English. Whatever that material is, whether English or mother tongue, the task is for them to list, the task is for them to translate it from mother tongue to Filipino to English. Now take note, comprehension is giving them the context that once they should be able to provide the meaning that eggplant is talong in Bisaya, and that whatever is not in the Mandaya or whatever is the mother tongue. So if you are going to ask me, is a module still a possible way of developing oracy? Yes, minus the modeling of the teacher. Minus the modeling of the teacher. But if the parents can model, if we have a parent who are educated enough, then that's not a problem. But if we have not, or we have no parents that are very educated enough, then provide that in your module, this type of activity. Okay? So Panabo City, it's not a hindrance. Though I say it's limited, it's really limited. The modules are really limited in terms of learning, no? But I say it still can be very possible, dependent on how you approach and what activities do you place inside your modules. Did I answer you, Panabo City? Hello? I'm very live now, and this is how I look in person, minus the
Thank
blurry
you.
presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nancy
Can I add to
Sumagaysay.
that, ma'am?
Yes, Dr. Darwin F.
Yes,
Suya.
ma'am.
Did
Ma'am
I
Maureen
answer you,
Ava.
Panabo City?
Yes, you've done it, ano, ma'am, precisely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. If I may add, ma'am, just like the other 10 divisions in Region 11, Tagum City has already crafted online, offline for the oral language because it is really a difficult task for teachers to conduct oral language fluency with the use of module, even though we also have the module, but we also have the online, offline, and then the schools will be giving somehow a USB for the soft copies. Another thing is that the kindergarten teachers have already started crafting those offline materials even last May. So Tagum City, just like any other divisions in Region 11, is now ready for the new normal, especially with oral language.
Okay, so just a rejoinder of the handsome friend there in Tagum City. Now, remember in RC, the expressive skills. Remember, expressive skills where the vocabulary should be used in phrases, in sentences, to express information, to express needs and everything. That is what the purpose should have in the module. And this should have been reflected in the module.
Wow, these are all coming from the experts, all the way from Davao Oriental and Tagum City, Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay and Dr. Darwin F. Suyat. And of course, there is an additional question from Davao del Sur, Dr. Nancy. Hi po, Doc Nancy. I hope really to suggest po that please, it will be added in higher education curriculum, the teaching strats like being equipped with all this awareness so that our teachers are already in the field. Irene Fatima Diaz of Sur.
I love that question, Irene Fatima of Davao del Sur. That's very critical of you. And I agree with you so much that I would always have reflected, given I do observations, round of observations in our division, I would say, what did the university do out of these teachers when they really are not very ready? That is very visible, ma'am, from Davao del Sur, and I love you for bringing that out. I do not know where to lobby on that particular advocacy that somehow this should have been exactly. This should have been when we receive our teachers, when we have accepted them in during their applications. Well, I'm supposed to expect that when I observe them, I could have, well, see what are those supposed to be principles to be observing in a particular teacher, especially in K to 3. But sad to say, these are not visible. Agree, and let's find a way where we can lobby that they should likewise add this in their curriculum in the higher education, because that's very true. The teachers are not ready to attack reading when they are hired in the grades 1 to 6 levels. And we could not also blame the high school, because these are not the business of the high schools. But the truth is, they really are secondary learners passed on to them. Non-readers and non-comprehenders at that. That's a very big problem for us. Thank you, Dabsur. Agree. And we will try to lobby where we can possibly lobby that they can revise their curriculum in such a manner that this salient and important matters about reading should be included in the curriculum. Thank you, Datsur, for that critical question.
If I
Tama
Okay,
na,
may
thank
Min?
add,
you.
Palihog lang?
Okay. Yes.
Ma'am Nance, if I may add, in fact, in the early childhood development, part of their curriculum now is actually on oral language, phonological, and phonemic awareness because it's one way of ensuring somehow the effective communication skills of the learners, especially in their growing up years. So it's part actually of the curriculum for the teachers in the early grade level for
Okay.
some
And another
college
rejoinder for that,
education.
Mama Kuna, Mama Ava,
Yes.
I think there's also a loophole, even if we say that these are not so emphasized in the curricular offerings of the higher education. I would say that the competencies are, ang dami na nga sa competencies eh. The problem also, it's very explicit in the competencies that this should be taught. But when you observe and we try to trace their DLLs or their lesson plans, they're teaching another thing. Because as I have said, the framework is everybody is in a hurry to really, Ang concept natin of reading is really to hurry in the end thing and the sounds and thing. No, as I have said, it's time for paradigm shifting. Why don't we try? Why don't we bring those? Why don't we bring those private schools manner of just bringing them to speech laboratory, bringing them to movies and all? Why don't we try that? Because those probably are oracy and oral language instructions. There's also a problem with our teachers, even if they're not ready, they really are not following what are required in the competencies. Because the competencies, Ma'am Ava, clearly says that they should be taught. The phonological awareness, the oracy, the phonics, the phonemic awareness are very clear in the competencies, but the teachers are neglecting it. I do not know why. I do not know if some are persuading them that no, you should teach them already this and that. But take note, again, I beg. Again, I beg. This is foundational. This is prerequisite. Okay? Ako, I was in grade 1, 2, and 3. How many years ago? I'm 51 years old this time. But it happens to be that my parents are educators. So I can hear the conversations in English because, manlibak sila sa ako, they're speaking in English. They do not know that I learned to jot the vocabulary from all of their talkings. But look, as I have said it in my lecture, no, millions of our students, 1,000 of our students are not providing this language richness in homes. That is why, wag na nating dagdagan, Ma'am Aba. No? Wag na nating dagdagan. Punuan na natin yung pagkukulang sa bahay. So, grades, kinder, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, create a culture, create an environment in the classroom where namumuno tayo ng pagkukulang inside the house, inside the homes of these poor students who do not even have the access for internet, who don't even have the access for English reading materials. So this is what I said, let's do paradigmatic shifts, teachers. Let's do some sort of modifications. Let's reinvent. Let's rebuild. Let's redesign instruction. Hey, this is me. It's all live.
Yes,
Did I answer you that,
Full of
Babos?
energy.
Beagle City, thank you so much, Beagle City. It's
Full of
not about
energy.
the readiness it's not about the readiness, Beagle City, no, likewise. Teachers are neglecting what is supposed to be taught. You try to look at your competencies. The competency is very clear. That it's all about oracy. It's all about phonological awareness. It's all about phonemes. It's all about phonics. I don't know. I have a class. I have observed a class. I'm speaking in terms of Davao Oriental context because I really have observed a class. Okay? Thank
Okay,
you.
Good
Doc.
observation.
Yes.
If I may
Thank you
add,
so
Ma'am
much.
Maureen, Ava,
Yes, Doc.
that is why it is
Yeah.
very important or essential for K-3 learners to have these teachers conduct explicit teaching the teacher will model, and the second process will be the guided practice. The teacher will do the activity with the learner, and it will now come in the independent practice of the learner. Not that from the start of the lesson, it will be independent immediately, a practice for the learner. So it's not really that,
Exactly.
it will not
Explicit.
really work.
Thank you.
Explicit. Yes,
No
Ma'am.
more question. We're
Yes,
dismissing the questions.
yeah, there are still remaining two questions, Doc Nancy, and that
Okay.
is from the Davao del Norte. How will the admin teachers deal with the students in secondary who have problems in reading when most of their classmates are able to read and comprehend? From Davao
Is
del
that
Norte.
for Sir Darwin? Is that for both of us?
Yes, it may
You can
either
answer
both
first,
of
Ma'am
you.
Nance.
Yes.
You can answer
Okay,
first,
please
Ma'am
repeat the
Nance.
question, Ma'am Ava.
Yes, sure. From Davao del Norte, how will the admin teachers deal with students in secondary who have problems in reading when most of their classmates are able to read and comprehend?
Okay. Take your turn, Doc Suyat. What's your answer, Doc?
Okay. Okay. That is why before the implementation of the 8-week intervention plan for non-readers and frustration readers, we made it a point to have an orientation, in fact, a workshop for the secondary school reading coordinators, because they are not really that adapt to the system of oral language, phonological awareness, and phonemic awareness. That for these non-readers, they really need to go back to the basics. What is the basics? Somehow bring back the schema, previous experiences that they hear sounds from the environment, uh, sounds of transportation, sounds of their pets, and then we go to the letter sound before going to the letter name. It's not really important for these non-readers and frustration readers in the secondary to give them immediately the book. It will not work. I tell you, it will not work. We really have to go back to the basic of the domains in the language, which is oral language. And to make good of the fluency is to go over again in the phonological and phonemic awareness. That is with the use of a good reading material with pictures, and also the skill and technique of the teacher in the secondary. Let's admit we already have now these learners in the secondary who cannot read, who are slow readers, and we cannot go away with it. So what's the best thing for us teachers is that to embrace them, take good care of them. It's easy to say that all teachers are reading teachers, but reading teacher per se needs extra attention, that needs extra care, love, and consideration to these non-readers, because what they lack in their own homes is what they need in school, and that will be provided by the school and the teachers, especially in providing a venue for this effective communication skills at their own level. Because non-reader, regardless of grade level, will always be a non-reader.
So, Ma'am Davao del Norte, I only have short answer because Dr. Suyat has an extensive answer. Ma'am Davao del Norte, this is what I say, no? There will never ever be a one size fits all in a classroom as far as reading. That is the very purpose why we need to know what the reading levels are in each of the student. You could never join the non-reader to the fast readers. So if you have a non-reader, then go back to oracy, go back to phonological awareness, go back to phonics, go back to word recognition, go back to fluency. That is it, Ma'am Davao del Norte. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we have one last question from Julius Andrew Calicdan of Davao del Norte Division. How about those parents who have poor oral literacy, who cannot properly model oral language? How can they assist on the reading development of the child? Any tips po? Okay.
Would you like to start, Ma'am
Just
Nance,
like a
again?
module, no? I would really say that there's really a limitation if we don't have educated parents. So that's what I'm telling you, that if it's not all about pandemic, well, our duty is to catch up, to let these pupils catch up. That is why I've said during my lecture, let's double our time, especially kindergarten and grade one teachers. It's double our time. There's too much lagged behind sessions in terms of language literacy in our students who belong to a family who has a dearth on language deficiencies. It's not about a family of teachers of which I can relate, that it's not as technologically enhanced this time. But I think it really helped that I was surrounded by family of teachers. My sister was a teacher, my brother, my mother, and they really were talking in English, and they're all good communicants. That's why I can hear the mother. Now, Davao del Norte, Ma'am Allen, ikulata dyan po sa Davao del Norte, bantay lang ka, Ma'am Allen. Davao del Norte, please do catch up. No, we could not kill them. It's either you can train them, enroll them in the ALS program, so that they can at least catch up likewise with how these letters are sounded and all, even with the sounds of the letters. No? But well, if they're 60 years old, if they're 50 years old, well, you know what. So you can have a training through ALS. You can have the delivery to include these parents in the training. No? And I think we should have that session, that we should train these parents likewise. No? What are we doing with reading? How are we doing it in the classrooms? So that they can assist us. If we could not do that, then we teachers in all our stations, I said, should catch up. Should all catch up. We provide the space. We provide the loophole. We fill in the loophole, I mean. Teachers, we're paid for that. Come on. Supervisors are also paid for that. Come on. Kaya ugatan gini nato. Ugatan og explain, no? Anyway. Thank you for that nice question, Davao del Norte.
That was
Did I
a good
answer you, Davao del
observation from
Norte? It's either you train or it's either you catch up, as in very fast, of all these mga tanang pagkukulang. Davao Norte, thank
Actually,
you.
that was a good observation from Sir Kalikdan of Davao del Norte, ma'am. In fact, if we are going to have parents' orientation in the new norm, we also include the orientation of teachers, those who are really cannot, those who have difficulty in reading. So we need to somehow orient them also, give them another date for that, and give follow-up. In fact, Tagum City Division is now actually somehow accepting enrollment for ALS program for the adults and also with the parents. So it's a good venue for them to be able to learn together with their parents.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Darwin F. Suyat of Tagum City Division, Education Program Supervisor, and of course, Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay from Davao Oriental Education Program Supervisor. We are really very blissful this afternoon with the great contribution and best efforts of these versatile and multi-skilled education program supervisors. Rest assured, this is really highly intellectually stimulating open forum question and answer for sure. Brilliant teachers and school heads will never stop asking because they know this is the best avenue for them to gather ideas and insights when they go back to the academic comms August 24 of 2020.
Thank you, Ma'am Alva.
You are most welcome, Ma'am. You are such a very expert in this reading, so with none less than Dr. Darwin F. Suya. You deserve all a congratulatory, well-uploaded presentation this afternoon.
Can I just give a reminder to the teachers that I know that there are a lot of webinar, ma'am, no, that they have been attending to webinar from the central office, from the regional, and also the division-initiated webinar. And from this 1,101 webinar, some of this will be forgotten. And I do hope they will not forget oral language, which is the basic foundation, and also phonological and phonemic awareness, because these are actually very important in the development of the early communication skills of the learners.
Well said, Dr. Darwin. Ma'am, can they have soft copy, Dr. Suyat and Dr. Sumagaysay?
Yes, ma'am. We can give that to the technical team, ma'am.
Yeah, I can send my presentation anyway. I can send my presentation.
Wow, thank you so much, because Dr. Nilo Hagunoy of Tacuna National High School is asking for a soft copy of all the topics presented today.
I'm going to send mine to the ICTU, Ma'am
The technical team will provide.
Okay, thank you so much. And that ends with our open forum today. I'm looking forward seeing you with our next activities in the future. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ma'am Maureen, Ava. Thank you, Ma'am Marjorie. Thank you very much, Dr. Nancy Sumagaysay, and to everybody. Thank you. Good afternoon.
You are most welcome. Dr. Suyat and Dr. Sumagay sign, of course.
And
We have
also
to
to
check.
Sir Pocholo.
Okay. We have to check that pre-test is still open and evaluation link will be posted here shortly. And of course, I'd like to call my partner, Miss Marjorie, back on live. Hi, Miss Marge. How are you?
Hi, Miss Ava. Good afternoon once again. Okay, I was reading the live comments of our viewers, and I must say that our viewers love and appreciate Mom Nancy and Sir Darwin. Okay, so I'm reading a lot of good feedbacks from our viewers. So thank you so much, guys.
Indeed, Miss Marge. So, you have roleta ng kapalaran for the recapitulation for tomorrow. And this is going to be all the way from the 11 divisions of entire Region 11. And we are assisted by none less than Hello IT Director, Mr. Cholo Hernandez, and of course, Miss Casey Kimno of Bernardo Carpio National High School. There you go, Mamard. Spin a wheel.
Okay, this is Roleta ng kapalaran.
Our
Okay.
viewers cannot see them, but actually we have other companions backstage. So we would like to thank Mr. Pocholo Hernandez and Ma'am Casey. Thank you so much for assisting us. And we have a winner. Okay. So the division who will give the summary tomorrow will be from Davao Occidental. Okay, please note on that. Division of Davao Occidental, a representative will be invited tomorrow to join with us and give his or her feedback regarding the first day of our regional online training.
First March, this is the mechanics. This will be assigned to the education program supervisor, and then to whom he or she is going to assign to the reading coordinator in the division or a teacher. So it could either way a reading coordinator or a teacher from the education program supervisor in that division. Wow, this is really very interesting tomorrow of what have they learned and gained insights of today's event.
Okay, so
Yes, and I am confident, Miss Ava, that our viewers, whoever will be selected from the division of Java Occidental, will be very excited and can share substantial insights. Because I would like to say that we have more than 12,000 teachers who are listening or watching us right now. On our live stream in the YouTube channel, there are only, I believe, there are only 8,000 viewers. But those 8,000 teachers are sharing their gadgets or their platforms to the rest of their companions in their respective schools. So the rest of the 12,000 viewers are listening or watching us through RBI. Okay, so to all our viewers, we really hope that you have learned something from our facilitators, from Dr. Sumagaysay and Dr. Suyat. And we are looking forward to our guest from Davao Occidental tomorrow.
Wow, that's it. Speaking of our viewers, I'd like to also commend our Santa Ana National High School principal, Dr. Ruel A. Alvarez. Hello, sir. And of course, the teachers, Mr. Ray U. Pactor of the Senior High School. And of course, Mapaka Elementary School, Compostela West, Davao de Oro, Mr. Roy Gombason. Thank you so much for engaging on this afternoon's breakaway session. This is just the beginning, actually, Miss Marge. And of course, at this time, Miss Marge, would you like to have the announcements as we have to pause for a queue to end, and then we're gonna see each other tomorrow. How is that?
okay, so
Okay,
reading is
so
important.
Okay,
Let's
yes,
quality of
Ms.
life.
Ava, I would like to remind all our viewers that our evaluation link will be open now. So I've been reading a lot of comments that they cannot go in or register to our link in the evaluation. That's because the evaluation link will be open right after this session. So to all our viewers, please check it now. Our evaluation link is now up and you can access it. And we are expecting again a lot of traffic since there will be a lot of teachers who will be accessing the link. So we would like to request everyone to please be patient with our link and just refresh it. Refresh the link and don't forget to answer it within the day, okay? Within the day only because we will be closing that later. And for tomorrow's session, it's a brand new day, so it'll be a brand new link. A brand new link for attendance, brand new link for the pre-test, brand new link for the evaluation. So please stand by. We will announce the link later or tomorrow through the division coordinators of this training. Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to say, Miss Ava, before we officially end this live stream?
Yes, possess basic skills in reading and writing. Without a doubt, with the great ideology, determinism, and vision of the Department of Education and the advocacy of Bawat Bata Bumabasa in a move to have this platform, the regional training on literacy instruction to bridge literacy gaps among learners. Today is the best avenue to share best practices with the 11 divisions in Region 11, which also at the same time want to share their best practices as well. This is in a collaborative effort among the region and division education program supervisors, school heads, and teachers, and it is our fervent hope that our participants of today are the key players of the academe on the quest of quality education, and we can identify our step forward delivering positive results. This is just the first day of our regional training instruction. Thank you so much to our Chief Janet G. Veloso, to our Curriculum Learning Management Division Education Program Supervisor, Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo, and of course, we have to thank our IT directors, Mr. Cholo Hernandez, our resource facilitators, Dr. Nancy P. Sumagaysay, Division of Davao Oriental, and Dr. Darwin F. Suyap, Division of Tagum City, and Dr. Denmark of Central Office, and of course, Miss Casey Kimpo of Bernardo Carpio National High School. This is Bawat Bata Bumabasa, Sulong Idokalidad. Everyone, to God, be the highest glory.
Thank you so much, and we shall see you again tomorrow.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan LCP. I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.